Good. All right. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. My name is Josh Morgan. I'm the Mayor of the City of London. But you're going to hear me talk with a bit of a different hat on today. I also serve as chair of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Big City Mayors Caucus, representing the 23 largest municipalities in this country. And I want to say combating destructive tariffs proposed by President Trump requires an all-hands-on-deck approach. And mayors and municipalities across this country are ready to mobilize and play a part in a Team Canada approach. I want you to know that U.S. mayors understand the benefits of trade between our two countries, and they are concerned about the impacts of any trade disruption. The two-way trade in goods between Canada and the U.S. is valued at nearly $3.6 billion daily. Ontario was the #1 export destination for 17 U.S. states and #2 for 11 others in 2023. And I want you to know the mayors in those states understand the importance of trade with this province and with this country, and they know that tariffs will hurt their jobs and their businesses in their cities. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities has a strong working relationship with the National League of Cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Next week, I will be chairing a meeting of the Big City Mayors in Ottawa, where we will be talking with federal ministers, talking about the Canada-U.S. file, strategizing on how mayors can be most effective in the Team Canada effort. You know, we're leveraging relationships we have with U.S. mayors across this to send a clear message about the negative impact that President Trump's trade policies will have on their communities. In coordination with the federal government, the premiers, FCM is ramping up its engagement, and in the coming weeks, we will be actively engaging under the leadership of Premier Ford and the Council of the Federation with municipalities across the U.S. We will be participating in meetings at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in mid-March. We'll be attending meetings of the National League of Cities in February, and we will ensure that we are actively engaging as mayors both in Canada and the U.S. to talk about the negative impacts of this. With that, I want to commend Premier Ford for his leadership on this file. He is not only the chair of the Council of the Federation, but he has provided tremendous leadership on this issue at a time when it is tremendously important. And I know today he's going to share some thoughts on this issue, and so let me start by welcoming Premier Ford back to the City of London. You're always welcome here. We know that you're providing leadership on this. We appreciate the work the Premier is doing, and as always, the mayors of Canada's cities will stand beside the premiers and the federal government to protect jobs in this city, in this province, and in this country. Premier Ford, thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you. I just really appreciate everyone coming and inviting us today. I want to thank the Mayor, Mayor Morgan. You've done an incredible job here in London. He's building homes. He's giving more opportunities to people in London and the surrounding area for great employment, attracting companies, and the list goes on and on and on, but thank you for your leadership. And I'm thrilled to be here, right back in London this morning. Actually, we got here last night, went to the police gala. That was spectacular, and Chief Trong, he did an incredible job, incredible leader here. And thank you to Starlum North America for hosting us. And VJ, thank you for your leadership. Folks, you see this facility, it is absolutely spotless. They do a lot of work in the life science sector, in the auto sector. But I always say we can build anything here in Ontario. We can compete against anyone in the world. And the reason we can compete and build anything is because the great folks here. Our #1 selling feature when we go around the world are the people of Ontario, the ingenuity that we have, and we will compete. I want to begin by thanking our great PC candidates for joining me here today. David Piccini, Northumberland, Peterborough South, Rob Flack, Elgin, Middlesex, London, Jerry Pribble, London North Centre, Peter Vanderlei, London Fanshawe, and Beth Elson from London West. What an all-star team. Folks, it's so important here in London to go out and cast your vote for one of these great candidates. As the mayor knows and anyone knows, the more voices you have around the table at Queen's Park, the louder they get. They're doing their job. Everyone's shouting and screaming, I need this, I need that. And that's the reason we need more voices like these great representatives. Let's remember, only a few short years ago, the last Liberal government gave up on our manufacturing sector. You know, I don't know if you remember, I remember like it was clear as day, the Liberal government, we're getting rid of manufacturing and we're going to focus on the service sector. Well, that didn't work out too well at all. With their high tax, anti-business, anti-worker agenda, that theory let 300,000 good-paying jobs flee our province. After years of Liberal decline, our PC team is rebuilding Ontario's economy with 850,000 more people working today than were working back when we first took office in 2018. And again, it's people like the mayor and folks in this room and leaders like VJ that create opportunities for people. Backed by an incredible team of Ontario businesses and union partners, we've secured $45 billion in new investments in the first electric vehicle and battery plants in Canada, including just down the road in St. Thomas, where Volkswagen is building one of the largest buildings in the entire world. Think of that. I think it's the fourth largest building in the world, 16 million square feet. That will employ thousands and thousands of workers. And for places like Oshawa, Alliston, Oakville, Hamilton, Cambridge, Woodstock, Windsor, Brampton, and Ingersoll, there's new hope for stable, long-term auto jobs. When it comes to creating auto worker jobs, Team Ontario has really delivered. When it comes to protecting auto worker jobs, Team Ontario will rise to the occasion. We'll work together, roll up our sleeves, we'll do whatever it takes, no matter the challenge. I say all of this because Ontario now faces the biggest challenge yet. President Trump is promising steep and sweeping tariffs that will devastate our economy. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are at risk, and not just auto workers, service workers, construction workers, retail workers, everyday hardworking people in offices, factories, and farms across Ontario. When workers lose their jobs, entire communities feel the pain. Bills go unpaid, local businesses lose customers, families worry about their future. We all feel it. This is what's on the line. An economic attack on our auto workers is an economic attack on every person in Ontario. Once again, it's up to us. It's up to Team Ontario to rise to the occasion, to protect our auto workers and manufacturing jobs, to ride out the storm, to win. We're entering a period of unprecedented economic risk and lengthy negotiations against President Trump. In this election, I'm seeking a mandate, a strong, stable 4-year mandate to do whatever it takes to outlast and outlive the Trump administration, to protect Ontario, to protect Ontario auto workers. This is how we're going to do it. Even if President Trump tears up America's commitment to the auto industry, we will not. I want to make it clear to every partner we have in Ontario's electric vehicle and battery supply chain, a re-elected PC government will honor our commitment to invest in the sector, no matter what decision the U.S. makes about the Inflation Reduction Act. We will maintain our financial contributions to the electric vehicle and battery auto pack. A landmark agreement that is attracting game-changing investments, that's creating thousands of jobs, that's bringing hope back to communities across Ontario, including here in London and surrounding communities. Let me be clear, I expect whoever ends up being our next Prime Minister to do the exact same thing. We also have to be prepared for a direct attack on our auto workers. Trump's tariffs will hit every part of our economy, but there's a bullet aimed straight at the heart of our auto sector. We'll do whatever it takes to protect workers and their livelihoods. As part of our plan to protect Ontario and to protect Ontario workers, I'm prepared to invest another $1 billion in the Skills Development Fund on top of the $1.5 billion that's already helping to train 1 million workers, to urgently expand union training centers, to help workers gain the skills they need to find high-demand jobs in the skilled trades. I'm also prepared to invest another $100 million in the Better Jobs Ontario program to help workers access skills training and transition into in-demand jobs, including a fast-track stream for workers in sectors that are vulnerable to trade disruptions. Most immediately, we will invest $38 million to stand up and mobilize action centers in any area that might face layoffs, so that local workers have a place to turn. For career supports, retaining, and other employment options. And anyone who knows me knows that I will be the loudest voice with the federal and provincial table demanding that the feds step up. They need to urgently expand employment insurance and wage earner protection program so that any worker laid off as a result of President Trump's tariffs has the support they need. My friends, I wish we didn't have to face this challenge, but I want to be clear. I will do everything in my power to ensure our province meets this challenge. Donald Trump thinks he can break Canada. He thinks he can get his way no matter the cost. He doesn't know what we know. Canada is not for sale. A strong and united Canada will overcome any obstacle. We didn't pick this fight, but you better believe we're ready to win it. With your support, we will get through this together. With a strong, stable 4-year mandate, you can count on me to do whatever it takes to protect Ontario and Ontario jobs, to build our economy, to protect workers, keep us competitive, clean up our streets, and deliver better care. These are the promises that I'm making to the people of our province. This is our plan to protect Ontario. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. First question.
Hi, Alison Jones with the Canadian Press.
Alison.
Speaking of the auto sector, you've put a lot of physical and political capital into building this EV supply chain, but we've seen some signs that the market is weakening down in the US. Trump is canceling their targets. Perhaps our federal targets are next. What are you going to do if the market sees a sharp downturn and suddenly Ontario can't support 3 EV battery plants?
Well, we're very confident that that market's going to continue to grow. We've seen increase of, I think it's about 18% year over year on the EV sector, but we're going to be here to support the sector. We're going to be here to support the workers, and we'll do whatever it takes to protect the workers. And for any reason, if they need retraining for other sectors, we're investing into that training.
And I know you've spoken negatively in the past about the rebates that went to supporting foreign-made EVs. Would you ever consider bringing back rebates to support the purchases of Ontario-made EVs or cars with Ontario-made batteries as a way to support the sector?
Well, we believe in supporting companies that make products here. We believe in supporting the people that work here, and we've spent billions of dollars supporting the workers in plants.
Hi, good morning. It's Jessica from the Trillium again.
Hi.
So I'd like to ask you about some comments from your former Minister of Long-Term Care about your family doctor plan. Marilee Fullerton wrote that she sees your, quote, election-style announcement as, quote, suspect, given the government's track record. She writes, after over 6 years in power, would the current government have Ontarians believe that it has had a primary care epiphany? Or did it just not see the family physician crisis coming? Or did it simply have other priorities? Can you answer her questions?
Well, I can tell you we're investing billions of dollars in building more long-term care. Let's just go back for 15 years before we were in office. The Liberal government, propped up by the NDP, built about 618 long-term care beds. We're building tens of thousands of new beds. I call them homes. They aren't beds, they're actual homes for people. We're revitalizing the existing stock. So I think there's always room for improvement. I say continuous improvement, but you look at the previous record compared to ours, we're going to continue investing in long-term care, continue investing in nurses, continue to invest in PSWs, and I love the PSWs, by the way. So that's what we're going to do.
So I'm sorry, that question was about family doctors, not long-term care. If you're having trouble hearing me, I'd be happy to ask the question again after.
Sorry, I thought it was long-term care. But okay, let me talk about family doctors. I'm sure you heard the great announcement about Dr. Jane Philpott, well-renowned across the country, making a huge announcement, a $1.8 billion investment to connect people to doctors. Even though we're leading the country in connecting doctors with the residents of Ontario, that's not good enough. We need to do better. We're going to do better. And we're going to make sure that every single person is going to be connected to a family doctor. And leading the way, again, is our great Minister, Sylvia Jones, and Dr. Jane Philpott.
So I actually had another follow-up.
Sure.
So still on healthcare, your government promised to start the call for applications for privately delivered, publicly funded orthopedic surgeries under Bill 60. You promised to start that last year, but it hasn't happened. Is that still coming, or are there other plans for this type of privately delivered surgeries in the works?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question. We're going to continue moving forward. As long as I'm Premier, no one is ever going to use their credit card. They'll always use their OHIP card. So we'll always have publicly funded healthcare in Ontario.
Bienvenue, Senga from Radio-Canada. My question is on the issue of homelessness and addictions. Over the past few years, we've heard local leaders in this community and elsewhere express frustration at just how difficult it's been to access provincial operating dollars to provide immediate supports. Things like shelters, warming spaces. They're having to deal with this situation on their streets right now, and they don't have time to wait for a plan that may take months to flesh out. If you're re-elected, what's your plan to address those concerns, and can you commit to providing those operating dollars for immediate supports, more of those operating dollars, and a lot faster?
Well, thank you so much for the question. We've invested probably $1.5 billion, spread that across the province. But do you know who's a champion when it comes to that? The mayor here. I'll give you an example on heart hubs, right? It was his plan that we took, that we're implementing right across this province. He's an absolute champion when it comes to that. I just want to thank the mayor for leading the way. So his plan is going across the province, and if there's any person that understands this, it's the mayor. Mayor, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question, and you're right. One of the things that we've been engaging with the provincial government on is the need for healthcare-related operating dollars. Not just me, but mayors across the province through the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus. And I want to say, as I said when Minister Jones was here announcing not just a heart hub for London, but across the province, I'll repeat what I said then. You know, this is good news. This is exactly what we've been asking for. Actual operating dollars being invested in our communities, and not just London, but Woodstock, Windsor, Sarnia, all got a heart hub. We know that the challenge of homelessness isn't going to be solved by one city alone. Yes, we've got a plan and a model that we know works. We know that the province is not only investing in that, but they actually stepped it up, did more heart hubs than they were originally planning, put more money in, now over $500 million into it for operating. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that money, we're going to prove that it works. We're going to prove that it works. And when we need more, we're going to have a proof of concept. We're going to know that the heart hubs work, and we're going to ask the province to continue to invest in something that is returning dividends back to the province. When we invest in people who are on our streets, and we give them a place to stay, and we give them wraparound supports, they take pressure off of emergency room visits, land ambulance, police contacts, and they actually take pressure off of a system that benefits everybody in our community. So I have been consistent in this, and I appreciate the Premier recognizing the leadership that London takes. I know he gives me a lot of credit, but I have to say absolutely clearly, there's a ton of people, hundreds of people who came together to develop the plan in London that is now being replicated across the province. They get the credit, they deserve the kudos for the hard work, and they're going to be the ones who prove without a doubt that this works and this is a place that helps people and takes pressure off of critical systems across this province. So I want to thank the Premier and the Minister, the Deputy Premier and Minister of Health for the investment they've made. Yes, we're always willing to take more, but this is a substantive investment that is going to help people in our community. In London, the Heart Hub in London is going to have 60 spaces plus another 60 of supportive housing. If you think about finding a space for 120 people who are on our street right now, 120, taking them out of encampments and off the streets and putting them into proper care, and having that up and running by April 1st, which is the challenge we have, we are going to start to create a really meaningful impact. And not only that, it's not just those 120 people. These are beds that can flow people through. YOU showed in their hub with only 9 spaces, they in less than a year, they were able to flow 50 youth off of our streets and into supportive housing. These programs are going to work. And until we fully implement it, which now we have some capacity to do, implement on a wider scale, you're not going to see the real impacts of what we can do with this investment. So hope that answers your question.
My follow-up is, the Liberal leader, Bonnie Crombie, is running for a seat in Mississauga. Given that she's well known in the area, do you have any concerns about potentially losing seats in the region?
No.
Good morning, Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star. Earlier, you were saying that you expect whoever ends up being the next Prime Minister will do the exact same thing in terms of supporting the EV industry. So that sounds like a bit of a warning to the poll leader, Pierre Poilievre. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, what message you want to send to him? And also, if he were to become Prime Minister and do that, can Ontario afford to pick up any slack there?
Well, Rob, thanks for that question. I've always had the stand that I will work with anyone. I don't care about their political stripes. I don't care if they're the Orange Party, Blue Party, Red Party. I look at the Ontario Party. I'm focused for the people of Ontario, and anyone who's Prime Minister needs to step up. They need to support the workers here in Ontario, and I hope they're going to fulfill that request.
All right, and I'm going to quickly change gears, so to speak, to healthcare. When you ran in 2018, you said you would eliminate hallway healthcare. Back then, it was running around 1,000 patients a day in hospital hallways. Now, by all accounts, it's double that. What's happened with hallway healthcare? Why haven't you been able to fix that in 6 or 7 years? And what are you going to do about it? And why should people believe any of your promises if you haven't delivered on that one?
Sure. Well, thanks, Rob. We've invested additional $33 billion, and we're building new hospitals, over $50 billion, 50 new sites across this province, and we've registered over 15,000 new doctors. We have 30,000 nursing students, some right here in London and London region, that are ready to join the healthcare team. But what we need to do, Rob, we need to protect the economy, because without protecting the economy, we can't pay for healthcare. We can't pay for education. We can't pay for social services. So the number one priority is to protect the economy. That will protect healthcare, that will protect education.
Thank you, Mr. Premier. It's Norman DeBono of the London Free Press newspaper.
Hi, Norm.
Mr. Premier, you've announced $1 billion here today. I think you announced $1 billion last night for the new police college. I mean,
yes.
What do you say to critics who would suggest that they would like to see more funding for children's services like CAS, like education spending, and of course healthcare spending, which you've touched on this morning?
Well, thank you for that question. As I mentioned before, the only way we can take care of social services, which is the third largest spend in the entire province, is by protecting the economy, having more revenue. When I first took office, revenue was $150 billion. It jumped from 150 to 214 billion, a $64 billion increase, and we never raised taxes. And I will never raise taxes. We create the conditions and environments for companies to come here, and they invest, and they create jobs. And guess what? People pay taxes. There's over 850,000 more people working today than there was 7 years ago because we created the climate. That's 850,000 more people feeding into the system, businesses paying their taxes, and then we can take care of social services.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This will be the last reporter.
Hi, Jerry Dewan from CTV News.
Hi, Jerry.
We continue to hear about the productivity gap, the challenges that Canadian businesses face in trying to keep pace with their American and international counterparts. And what can we do to help businesses overcome that productivity gap? And can we hold them to account by ensuring that they're doing their part in reinvesting in their operations to help support the manufacturing in this province?
Well, I've been saying that for a while. Let me tell you a couple of things that we can do. We can look at interprovincial trade. That will increase our GDP anywhere from 50 billion to 100 billion. As chair of the Federation, I'm going to push that hard. I know my great friend Tim Houston, Premier of Nova Scotia, he's moving forward too, but we got to get rid of internal protectionism. You know, isn't it amazing you can't ship a bottle of wine from BC over to Ontario? But we're going to open that up. It's going to be beneficial for everyone. We're going to make sure that we continue investing into companies, which companies they invest into technology that increases productivity, increases their opportunity to buy new equipment. Here is a perfect example, right here, the technology, the people, and making sure that we focus on technology, be it AI, that can speed things up faster and increase our GDP. But I hear you. You and I are on the same page, and we're going to do everything we can with partnership with our great labor leaders, our great companies, and the people of Ontario.
With regards to the tariffs, certainly it seems like all sectors will be impacted by these tariffs. But in this location, two sectors, the agriculture sector, agri-foods, and the auto sector, very heavily located in this area,
yes,
are going to be acutely hurt by tariffs. How do you respond to that?
We're going to make sure, as I was mentioning, we're going to invest over $1 billion, and I'm going to pass it to a couple of my ministers there in a second, because one's agriculture, one produces great workers with skills development fund that we had 1.5 billion. We're putting another $1 billion in, but we're going to retrain people if it comes to that. We're going to support them. We're going to make sure that they can still pay their bills, but train them for other opportunities in other sectors. But I'm confident, you know, we're going to get through this. Sure, there'll be bumps in the road, but we're Ontario. We're Canadians. We're the hardest working, smartest people in the entire world. I'll put Ontarians against any other jurisdiction in the world. We have the best and the brightest. But why don't I hand it over to Rob Flack, and he's our agriculture expert and a farmer.
Well, thank you, Premier. Norman, you asked that, right? Good to see you. Or Jerry, sorry, Jerry. So bottom line is $45 billion is the trade between the U.S. and Ontario, not Canada. U.S. and Ontario. $45 billion, and we're basically at balance. In fact, Ontario has a slight trade deficit with the U.S. So think about what advantage there's going to be to add tariffs to products coming into the U.S. from Canada. Our fruit and vegetable sector, greenhouse, 87% go to the U.S. They're just going to raise costs to the American consumer, and if we act likewise, led by Premier Ford, we're just going to hurt the cost of living for Ontarians. So I say, let's protect our farms, and we will. Let's protect our agri-food jobs, which are abundant, as you say, across this region, and protect our economy. Under Premier Ford, we will protect every one of those jobs in every one of those sectors. I'll turn it over to David Piccini.
Thank you. Just briefly would add today's announcement of another $1 billion in the Skills Development Fund directly responds to your productivity question. You know, some of the things you can invest, tools and machinery, this plant knows about that. But on the skills side, in today's day and age, earn while you learn is the new reality. Continuing education throughout your career. That's what this Premier gets, which is why we've trained over 600,000 workers with better training. better jobs with bigger paychecks. So we'll continue doing that. This $1 billion is going to have a real impact on stories like Nicole, whom we're going to meet later today, who was a single mother, who was really struggling, and thanks to the Skills Development Fund, now has a job in the construction sector, a sector that this Premier said he's going to back up and defend with SDF investments in response to the tariff threat. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Well, thank you very much. Again, VJ, I want to thank your team. Where's VJ at? Where'd he go? Thank you, VJ. True entrepreneur, true leader, creating jobs, and the mayor as well. Thank you. One of the finest mayors we have in the entire province. Thank you for leading the way and being collaborative with our government. We can continue to looking to grow the economy, and we're going to continue working for the people. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.